Have you ever noticed how the people who seem to have everything are often the ones who can't stop working, can't stop worrying, can't stop checking their phones at 3 in the morning? They have the biggest houses, the fastest cars, the most impressive titles, yet somehow they're the least free people you'll ever meet. Now imagine this. A man who owned absolutely nothing, who slept in a clay barrel on the streets, who had no bank, account, no property, no security, yet when the most powerful ruler on earth stood before him and said, "Name anything you want, and it's yours," this man looked up and replied, "Yes, actually. Step out of my sunlight." That man was Diogenes. And what he understood about power would make most modern success gurus uncomfortable, because it completely flips everything we've been taught. Think about your own life for a moment. How many things do you own that you thought would make you happy, but now just sit there, requiring maintenance, taking up space, quietly demanding your attention? How many subscriptions are draining your account right now for services you forgot you even had? How many times have you worked late, missed important moments, or said yes to things you hated just because you were afraid of what might happen if you didn't? Here's what nobody tells you when you're climbing the ladder, chasing the promotion, buying the upgrade. Every single thing you add to your life doesn't just take money. It takes a piece of your freedom. That luxury car? Now you're terrified of door dings and parking it anywhere that isn't perfect. That big house? Now you're chained to the mortgage, the maintenance, the property taxes, the endless list of things that break and need fixing. That impressive job title? Now you can't speak your mind because you're afraid of losing it. And here's the truly terrifying part. You don't even realize it's happening. The cage builds itself around you, one purchase at a time, one obligation at a time, one compromise at a time, until one day you wake up and realize you're not living your life anymore. You're protecting it. You're defending it. You're imprisoned by everything you thought would set you free. Diogenes saw this trap 24 centuries ago. He watched the wealthy citizens of Athens scrambling through their days, stressed about their reputations, their businesses, their social standing. He saw how they were slaves to their own success. So he did something radical. He walked away from all of it, not because he was lazy or couldn't compete, but because he understood something that most people spend their entire lives never learning. Real power doesn't come from what you can accumulate. It comes from what you can live without. When you don't need much, nobody can threaten you. When you don't fear losing things, nobody can control you. When you don't care about impressing people, nobody can manipulate you. This is why Alexander the Great, the man who conquered most of the known world, reportedly said, "If I were not Alexander, I would wish to be Diogenes." Even the emperor understood that the homeless philosopher had something he could never possess: complete freedom. But here's where this gets interesting for you. Right now, in the modern world, this isn't about rejecting success or living in poverty. It's about understanding leverage. Real leverage, not the kind that marketing companies sell you. The kind that actually gives you control over your life. Think about the last time someone tried to pressure you into doing something you didn't want to do. Maybe it was your boss. Maybe it was family. Maybe it was society's expectations. Why did that pressure work? Because somewhere in your life, you need something from them. You need the paycheck. You need the approval. You need to maintain the image. You need to keep up appearances. Now imagine you didn't need any of that. What would you say? What would you do? How would you live? That's not a fantasy. That's a choice. And it is a choice that starts with a question most people are too afraid to ask. What if everything I've been taught about strength is completely backward? Modern society has built the most sophisticated trap in human history. It doesn't look like a trap. It looks like opportunity. It looks like success. It looks like the life everyone tells you that you should want. The system shows you images of people with more, tells you that you're falling behind, makes you feel inadequate exactly as you are. Then it offers you the solution. Buy this, achieve that, impress them, upgrade everything. And with every step you take toward what society calls success, you give away a little more of your actual freedom. The house requires the job. The job requires the behavior. The behavior requires the silence. The silence requires the compromise. Until you look in the mirror one day and barely recognize the person staring back, you've become successful on paper and imprisoned in reality. This is not an accident. This is exactly how control works in the modern world. Nobody needs to put chains on you. You build them yourself out of everything you think you need. Diogenes understood that the less you need from the world, the more the world needs to reckon with you. He lived in Athens during the height of Greek civilization, when social status meant everything and reputation was currency. People spent their entire lives building carefully crafted images of success. And into this world walked a man who ate in the street, slept wherever he pleased, and openly mocked the values everyone else was dying to uphold. He wasn't rebelling for attention. He was demonstrating a principle. When someone cannot be bought or threatened, when someone has stripped away all the unnecessary layers society wraps around identity, that person becomes dangerous. Not dangerous in a violent way, but dangerous to every system built on control through desire and fear. One afternoon, Diogenes was sitting in the market when someone approached and insulted him viciously. The man hurled every offensive thing he could think of. Diogenes barely looked up. When the man finished, exhausted from his own rage, Diogenes simply said, "You're wasting your breath." I've been called worse by better people. The insult bounced off him like rain off stone because he had no image to protect. Another time, he saw a child drinking water by cupping his hands at a fountain. Diogenes had been carrying a simple wooden bowl for drinking. He watched the child and then threw his bowl away, saying, "A child has outdone me in simplicity." Even the smallest possession was examined. Even the most basic tool was questioned. Could he live with less? Could he need even one thing fewer? This wasn't about deprivation. It was about elimination of vulnerability. Every need is a weakness waiting to be exploited. Now let's bring this into your reality. You don't need to throw away your possessions or sleep in a barrel, but you do need to understand the principle underneath. Start by looking at your monthly expenses, not just the numbers, but what they represent. How many of those recurring charges are for things you actually use versus things you got used to having? There's a massive difference. One is necessity. The other is habit. And habits are chains you chose to wear. Try this experiment. For the next 7 days, turn off every notification on your phone, except for calls and texts from the 5 people who genuinely matter in your life. Just 7 days. What you'll discover is shocking. 90% of what was pulling your attention wasn't actually important. It was just noise designed to make you react, to keep you scattered, to prevent you from building anything substantial. Your attention is your most valuable resource, and you've been giving it away for free to anyone with an app. When you reclaim it, you reclaim power. The reason simplicity creates strength is mathematical. The more variables you have in your life, the more things can go wrong. The more things that can go wrong, the more fear you carry. The more fear you carry, the easier you are to control. It's that straightforward. Reduce the variables and you reduce the fear. Reduce the fear and you increase your freedom to act. This is why people who have nothing to lose are the most dangerous people in any negotiation. They can walk away. And the ability to walk away is the ultimate form of leverage. Think about your current job situation. If you lost that job tomorrow, what would happen? If the answer terrifies you, then you're not employed there by choice. You're imprisoned there by necessity. And necessity is always someone else's leverage over you. Now imagine you'd been living more simply for the past 3 years. Lower rent, no car payment, minimal subscriptions, actual savings. If you lost that job tomorrow, you'd have 6 months to figure things out. Maybe longer. Suddenly, that meeting where your boss asks you to compromise your values goes very differently. You can say no. You can set boundaries. You can walk away. That's not theory. That's practical power. Diogenes once walked through Athens in broad daylight, carrying a lit lantern, looking into people's faces. When they asked what he was doing, he said, "I'm searching for an honest man." He never found one. His point was clear. A city full of people performing honesty while living lies. Everyone was so busy maintaining appearances, they'd forgotten what truth even looked like. This is the world you're living in right now. Everyone's posting their highlight reel, crafting their personal brand, optimizing their image. And underneath all that performance is a desperate fear of being seen as they actually are. But when you stop needing approval, you stop performing. When you stop performing, you start living. And when you start living, you become magnetic in a way that no amount of image crafting can replicate. People can sense authenticity because it's so rare. The path forward isn't complicated. Strip away one unnecessary thing this week. Just one. An obligation you resent. A subscription you don't use. A relationship that drains you, one thing. Then next week, strip away another. What you're doing is building momentum in the opposite direction of everyone else. While they're adding more, you're subtracting. While they're becoming more fragile, you're becoming more resilient. While they're giving away power, you're taking it back. The strongest position isn't the one with the most. It's the one that needs the least. Diogenes proved it standing before an emperor. Now it's your turn to prove it standing before your own life. Start today. Choose one chain to break. Just one. And watch what happens when you realize you never needed it at all.